There is a liquid that costs $4 at a hardware store and restores dry rotted tires permanently. It does not mask the problem. It does not just make the rubber look blacker. It penetrates at the molecular level and reverses the degradation process of the polymer. One single application on old tires with minor cracks and the structural elasticity returns. The United States Air Force tested this on landing gear in the 1960s. No sanding, no heavy machinery, no professional equipment. $4 worth of a simple chemical compound mixed with distilled water. Then, someone in a corporate boardroom did the math. The global tire industry generates over $250 billion a year. Dry rotted tires, or tires cracked by the sun, are the main reason people who barely drive their cars are forced to buy a new set before the tread even wears out. A $4 solution that eliminates this problem and doubles the lifespan of any tire is not an innovation to celebrate. It is a threat to neutralize. They did not stop using it because it failed. They stopped talking about it because it worked too well. This is the story of the polymer restorer that military fleets trusted and corporations buried. If these stories matter to you, subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications is the best way to make sure this knowledge survives. Here, we open the vaults the industry locked shut. Now, let me take you back to where this all begins. 70 years before you were forced to spend $800 on a new set of tires at your vehicle inspection, industrial chemists discovered something entirely by accident. In the early 20th century, with the expansion of the vulcanized rubber industry, the major problem wasn't physical wear, but ozone and ultraviolet radiation. Oxygen attacks the double bonds of the rubber polymer, breaking the molecular chains. The tire doesn't wear out, it dries out, it fractures. In the late 1930s, engineers working on the development of rubber components for the European war effort began testing naphthenic base oils and highly refined plasticizers. They didn't want to clean the rubber, they wanted to feed it. When they applied concentrated extracts of aromatic oils and low molecular weight silicone plasticizers to already degraded rubber, the unexpected happened. The liquid didn't sit on the surface. It was pulled into the microfissures through capillary action. Rubber that cracked under tension became flexible again. The compound restored the essential oils that the sun had evaporated, relinking the rubber's structure from the inside out. During World War II, Allied military mechanics used crude variations of this compound to keep supply truck tires intact under the scorching North African sun. Maintenance documents show that tires treated with these recovery agents lasted up to 3 times longer in open storage than untreated ones. This is not a theory. It is convergent chemistry discovered out of extreme necessity. Fast forward to the post-war era. The American automotive industry exploded. Michelin, Goodyear, and Firestone built empires based on planned obsolescence. But here is where the story takes a very dark turn. Before we move forward, everything I have revealed so far barely scratches the surface of what has been hidden from you. In the 1970s, the global tire industry realized a fatal miscalculation. The stabilizer compounds were making the rubber too resilient. A tire isn't just dumb black rubber. It is a complex matrix of polymers, carbon black, and vital plasticizing oils. What keeps the tire flexible, safe, and gripping the road isn't the rubber itself, but these microscopic oils trapped inside it. But with the arrival of new consumer standards, profit couldn't rely solely on asphalt wear. People simply weren't driving enough to wear out the tread before the warranty expired. So, the industry changed the chemistry. They reduced the long-lasting UV stabilizers and created an invisible time bomb. The sun, ozone, and daily thermal variations began to slowly extract the plasticizers from the rubber. The result? Dry rot, sidewall cracking. The tire died on the outside before it died underneath. And that is how a preventable chemical problem turned into a $250 billion gold mine. But how do you convince a man to throw away a tire with 80% of its tread intact? Through absolute fear. The automotive industry spent millions on safety campaigns and strict regulation lobbying. They trained an entire generation of mechanics and inspectors to look at cosmetic microfissures and declare to the customer, "This is a death trap, your car won't pass inspection." The corporate order was clear. Never repair the chemistry, replace the whole part. The service manual stopped teaching how to hydrate polymers and started having only one single solution: forcing you to buy a new $800 set of tires. And that military capillary recovery formula, the one the Army used to keep rubber alive in the North African deserts, it was downgraded. They diluted the original formula, filled it with cheap dyes, water, and shiny surface silicones, and sold it as tire shine in supermarkets. A useless cosmetic product that ironically dries the rubber out even more in the long run, guaranteeing that you return to buy new tires. They turn the cure into the poison itself. But real chemistry does not forgive marketing lies. What manufacturers don't want you to know is that the crosslinks of vulcanized rubber are not broken in these superficial cracks. They are simply dehydrated, contracted, and starving. The real science has always been published in obscure materials engineering journals. If you introduce a concentrated mixture of aromatic oils and low molecular weight plasticizers, the exact same base compound you find in specific aviation hydraulic fluids or in a $4 restoration solvent at the local hardware store, the dead rubber absorbs the liquid like a sponge in the desert. It is pure capillary action. The liquid penetrates deeply through the fissures, fills the molecular gaps, swells the polymers back to their original elastic state, and permanently seals the surface against oxygen. The tire doesn't just look nice and black, it recovers its thermal structural integrity. A permanent structural cure that costs $4 and requires only a clean applicator and 20 minutes of patience cannot coexist peacefully with an industry that depends on your blind ignorance to survive. They buried the research, ignored independent studies, and welded the vault door shut to ensure you kept paying. But buried knowledge does not disappear. It waits. Now I will show you exactly what is inside this $4 bottle, what the exact mixture you need to make at home is, and how to apply this in your garage to ensure you are never extorted at a repair shop again. The answer is not in the automotive products aisle. If it has the word car or tire on the label, you've already been scammed. The base compound these corporations fear is hidden in the pharmacy or hardware section of your local supermarket. The secret is pure vegetable glycerin combined with 70% isopropyl alcohol. Yes, the exact same base fluid used in chemistry labs to keep surgical rubber tubing and industrial valves intact through decades of extreme exposure. Glycerin is not a surface varnish. It is an incredibly dense molecular humectant. When mixed with alcohol, the magic happens. The alcohol acts as a penetration vehicle. It dissolves the oxidized barrier of the dead rubber, carries the glycerin deep into the polymer matrix, and then evaporates without a trace. What remains trapped inside is the pure plasticizer. A liter of this combination costs about $4. But you can't just throw this onto a dirty tire. There is a thermal absorption protocol. First, the tire must be clean and dry. No cheap silicones, no waxes from the last car wash. Next, you mix 3 parts glycerin to 1 part alcohol in a standard spray bottle. Apply a thick, generous layer directly to the dry rotted sidewalls. And now comes the step the industry prays you ignore. Leave the car in direct sunlight during peak heat. The heat expands the tire's polymers. The rubber literally opens its pores and drinks the mixture through capillary action. You will see the liquid disappear before your eyes, sucked into the very fissures your mechanics swore were the end of the tire's life. After 2 hours, wipe off any excess with a microfiber towel. The tire won't have that greasy, artificial shine. It will be matte, soft, and structurally flexible again. The $800 death sentence has been canceled. They built a $250 billion empire based on obsolescence and your fear. They taught you to panic over a natural chemical reaction that costs pennies to reverse. The science was already validated, tested, and purposely buried in engineering manuals you would never read. But starting today, that lie no longer works in your garage. The cure always cost $4. You just needed to know which aisle to look in. If this knowledge changed the way you view the automotive industry today, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. It is the only way to ensure this kind of truth survives the algorithm. Share this with someone who is about to be extorted on their next trip to the mechanic. Today, we opened a vault they welded shut decades ago. Next week, we open another. And I guarantee you what is inside will make this tire secret look like child's play.